This section talks about Chapter 4, Climax, One Choice. One night, one moment that will either break them forever or prove that love can overshadow the darkest storm. This is a turning point, where the light stays. Chapter 4, The Climax. The city awoke that morning with the weight of anticipation. Posters fluttered on lampposts. Conservatory recital. Maya Dobrev, piano. The letters gleamed with a promise that felt both exhilarating and suffocating. Inside the small rented room above the harbor, Luca sat with his camera in his lap, staring at the gray dawn pressing against the window. He had not slept. Each time he closed his eyes, he heard Maya's voice from nights before. Maybe I don't have space for both. His suitcase sat open, half filled with clothes and negatives. Leaving would be easy. He had done it 100 times before. New city, new strangers, new photographs, the pattern of his life. And yet every time he pictured himself walking away, he saw her face, bent over the piano, light catching in her hair, eyes closed as if she were listening to some secret note only she could hear. He pressed his palms over his eyes. If I leave, she will shine. If I stay, will I only dim her? Maya across town was in the practice room. Her fingers trembled against the keys. Adrian stood behind her, posture perfect, words precise. Again, he said, with control. You rush in the middle section. It must be flawless tonight. I know, she murmured, starting over. But her heart was not in the notes. Each chord fell like a stone instead of a ripple. She thought of Luca, his silence these past days, the way he had avoided her gaze in the square, the absence of his laughter. Adrian noticed her falter. Distractions will cost you everything, Maya. Focus. She bit her lip, nodded, tried again. But the music betrayed her. It carried the weight of everything she had not said, everything she feared to lose. What if he leaves, she thought. What if when I walk onto that stage tonight, he is already gone? The recital hall filled as evening descended. Families, teachers, critics. The murmur of voices was a rising tide. Flowers in the lobby, perfume in the air, programs clutched in eager hands. Backstage, Maya sat on a wooden chair, clutching her sheet music, though she knew it by heart. Her breath came shallow. Adrian paced beside her. You're ready, he said. Do not let emotion ruin discipline. Remember, this is your future. She nodded, though her throat ached. From the wings, she peeked once at the audience. Faces blurred together, but one stood out. Luca. He was there, in the back row, camera hanging forgotten around his neck. His eyes found hers across the distance, steady, unblinking. For a moment, time stilled. She felt her pulse return to her fingertips. The stagehand called her name. She walked out, heart hammering. The piano gleamed under the lights, black and sharp as a secret. Maya bowed, sat, placed her fingers on the keys. Silence hushed the hall. She began. At first, her hands obeyed discipline, each note precise, each measure as Adrian had drilled into her. But as the music unfolded, something shifted. The melodies refused to stay caged. They rose and swelled, trembling with the weight of her longing, her fear, her love. She played as if confessing everything she had hidden, the joy of walking through rain-soaked streets, the ache of words unsaid, the terror of losing Luca, the truth that music without love was only sound. The audience leaned forward. Adrian from the wings frowned. This was not what they had rehearsed. But Maya's playing had found its own voice, and there was no stopping it. Tears blurred her vision. She let them fall. When the final chord rang out, it was not flawless. It was raw, imperfect, utterly alive. And in the silence that followed, the audience erupted. Applause, shouts, a standing ovation that crashed over her like a wave. Maya bowed once, but her eyes were not on the crowd. They searched for him, and there he was, standing now, clapping slowly, his face unreadable except for the glimmer in his eyes. Backstage, chaos reigned. Flowers, congratulations, Adrian's clipped reprimands about discipline and squandered opportunities. Maya ignored them all. She slipped out a side door, heart racing, searching. She found him in the alley behind the hall, leaning against the wall. cigarette unlit in his fingers. "You came," she breathed. "I almost didn't," Luca said quietly. The night air was thick with salt and smoke from street vendors. A single lamp buzzed overhead, casting shadows across his face. "You were leaving," she said. "It wasn't a question." "I thought I should," he admitted. "You have a future waiting. I didn't want to be the reason you didn't take it." Her throat tightened. "And I thought you already had. I thought when I looked into the crowd you'd be gone." He stepped closer, eyes burning with everything he'd held back. "Do you know what it felt like, Maya? To sit there, watching you pour yourself into those notes, and realize that every chord was you trying to tell me something you couldn't say aloud." She swallowed. "And did you hear it?" "Yes," he said, voice breaking. "I heard that you love me. And I heard that you're terrified. Just like I am." The unlit cigarette fell from his fingers. He reached for her hands, clutching them as if to keep her tethered. "I can't promise I won't wander," he whispered. "It's who I am. But I can promise I'll always come back, because wherever you are, that's where the light stays." Tears welled in her eyes. She pressed his hands to her chest where her heart thundered. "And I can't promise I won't choose the piano. It's who I am. But I can promise that every note I play will carry you in it. You're already written into my music for a moment." Neither spoke. The night pulsed around them. The city, the sea, the applause still echoing faintly from the hall. Then, as if pulled by the same tide, they kissed. Fierce, desperate. Not the tentative brush of their first kiss, but a collision of everything they had almost lost. When they broke apart, breathless, Maya rested her forehead against his. "Don't leave," she whispered. "I won't," he said. "Not anymore." Adrian found them later, his expression unreadable. "You took risks tonight," he told Maya coolly. "It was not perfect." "No," she agreed, her voice steady. "It was true." He looked at her, then at Luca, then simply nodded once before walking away. That night they returned to the harbor. The sea was calm now, moonlight smoothing its surface. They sat side by side on the seawall, her head against his shoulder, his arm draped around her. Neither spoke of the future in exact terms, but in the quiet, in the salt air, and the steady rhythm of waves, they both understood. Love was not about choosing one dream over another. It was about carrying both, even when it was heavy. And together they felt strong enough to try. If you love romance, emotional storytelling, and cinematic vibes, this is for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who believes in true love.